You've been hunting for a desktop that can actually sit on your desk, stay cool while you run a bunch of apps, and won't feel like you're paying for a bunch of marketing hype. The truth is, most of the machines out there either brag about a crazy number of cores you'll never use or promise gaming-grade graphics that sit idle when you're just editing videos or compiling code. That gap between expectation and reality is what makes buying a new PC feel like a gamble, especially when you have a limited budget and a handful of specific tasks you need it to handle every day. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Corsair AI Workstation 300 lands squarely in that in-between space. It's marketed as an AI-optimized compact workstation, but the real question is whether the combination of an AMD Ryzen AI Max 385 processor, a Radeon 8050S integrated GPU, and a unified 64GB of LPDDR5X memory actually translates into a smooth, hassle-free experience for the kind of work and play most of us do. First off, let's talk about the form factor. The chassis is small enough to fit on a crowded desk or even be tucked behind a monitor, which is a big win if you're dealing with limited real estate. It's not a mini ITX tower you have to juggle with a power brick the size of a suitcase. The power supply is built in, and the whole thing comes pre-assembled. You plug it in, hit the power button, and the Corsair AI software walks you through the initial setup. That software isn't just a pretty UI, it actually tunes the bias for the AI workload you select, whether that's 3D rendering, data science, or just a mixed day of office work and occasional gaming. In practice, I found the setup took less than 10 minutes, and the system booted straight into Windows without any of the first boot hiccups that sometimes plague custom builds. Now, the heart of the machine, the AMD Ryzen AI Max 385. This processor isn't a traditional desktop Ryzen, it's a chip designed with integrated AI acceleration in mind. For most users, that means faster inference when you're running machine learning models locally, and smoother handling of AI-assisted features in creative apps like Adobe Photoshop or DaVinci Resolve. In my own workflow, editing 4K footage, applying AI-based upscaling, and running a few Python notebooks, the CPU felt snappy. Tasks that usually take a minute or two on a mid-range laptop dropped to under 30 seconds. The integrated Radeon 8050S isn't a dedicated graphics card, but it's more capable than a typical office iGPU. It handled the occasional gaming night of titles like Valorant and Rocket League at 1080p with decent frame rates, and it took care of video playback and basic GPU-accelerated effects without any stutter. Memory is where the Workstation 300 really differentiates itself. The 64GB of LPDDR5X running at 8000 MHz is a unified pool that the CPU and GPU share. You don't have separate sticks for the graphics portion, so the system can allocate bandwidth dynamically based on what's demanding more at any given moment. In practical terms, I noticed that while rendering a multi-layer Photoshop file with AI filters, the system didn't dip into swap or throttle. The same memory amount would be overkill for a casual user who only browses the web and runs office apps, but for a creator who works with large datasets or high-resolution media, it's a genuine productivity boost. Storage is a solid 1TB M.2 SSD, and because it's NVMe, the boot times are practically instantaneous. Large project files load quickly, and the OS updates without the long pauses you sometimes get on older SATA drives. One hidden trade-off here is that the SSD is soldered onto the motherboard. You can't swap it out for a bigger drive without opening the case, which is doable but not as straightforward as a typical desktop. If you foresee needing more than a terabyte of fast storage, you'll want to add an external USB-C SSD or a network-attached storage solution. Security is another angle Corsair highlighted. The motherboard includes a TPM 2.0 chip and supports secure boot, which is useful if you're handling sensitive data or need to meet corporate compliance. For most home users this isn't a deal-breaker, but for freelancers who work with client information, it adds peace of mind without any extra cost. Who should actually buy this workstation? If you're a content creator, data analyst, or a developer who regularly uses AI-enhanced tools, the AI-optimized CPU and the high-speed unified memory give you a tangible edge. The compact size makes it a good fit for small apartments or home offices where a full tower would be overkill. It also appeals to gamers who don't need ultra-high settings but still want a system that can handle modern titles at 1080p without buying a separate GPU. Who should skip it? If you're a hardcore gamer who expects to push 1440p or 4K at high frame rates, the integrated Radeon 8050S will hit its ceiling quickly, and you'll probably end up adding a dedicated graphics card anyway. That